Welcome back to the channel once again, fam. Lil Cam, the suspected, or depending on who you ask, the definite taker of Takeoff's life, was arrested and taken into custody by Houston police last week for a felony charge of unlawful carry of a weapon. And of course, to address my initial, facetiousness, Lil Cam, of course, has not been fully convicted of anything as of yet, so everything is, of course, still up in the air. Joshua Cameron, aka Lil Cam, is a 16-year-old, didn't even realize he was that young, member of Mob Ties Records. Speaking of young and youth, kind of doesn't really help the situation that he's so young, because young people have that reputation of being kind of impressionable when it comes to this kind of stuff. Yeah. Mob Ties is owned by founder and CEO J. Prince Jr. I know you done heard that name 1,000 times at this point, but he's someone who Black Twitter has also accused of having something to do with the death of Takeoff. Lil Cam is currently in custody at the Harris County Jail since his arrest on November 22nd. Despite being held on unrelated charges, detectives are reportedly questioning him about the Takeoff shooting. Cam was out on bail for a previous felony and was released in April of 2022. The latest warrant is a violation of the terms from his existing bond, and he could face more charges should detectives find him connected to Takeoff's death. I don't think that I really have to beat anybody over the head with a hammer to reiterate the points that I've made before. In this case, the speculation kind of needs to slow down just a tad. There's nothing wrong with the looking into things and the thoughtfulness behind why something may have happened or anything like that, but when it comes to the accusations and putting names out there, as many of you in our own comment section have said, well, let's actually try to let the people whose job it is to figure it out, because where else do we have to go with it at this point? Unless something new comes up, of course. Something new, at least new to me, like how Cam even got arrested this most recent time anyway in the first place, which was being seen on a video with a loaded gun, which of course gave authorities the rights to issue a warrant for a felony charge of unlawful carry of a weapon. Now sit yourselves down and don't think too hard about what I'm about to say next, because this is not something that is official. This is, well, you know that thing that I said, let's stop doing and let people do, and was clearly a lead up to the last thing this is going to completely contradict that, so go ahead and get ready. Because on the not so fully reported side, there are rumors that the bowling alley itself has footage, and the Houston PD used that to locate Lil Cam with the firearm. That brief pause was definitely intentional, because I wanted to give you a few seconds to see if you reached the same conclusion that I reached, which is, I don't know, if they can see that he was in a video from the bowling alley with a loaded gun, can't they just see who the shooter was? Because clearly you have cameras, as everybody already knew. We even read a quote from somebody a few videos ago that said something very, very similar. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, either that is entirely confusing, or it completely debunks the fact that they used footage from the bowling alley to arrest Lil Cam. Because once again, how can you find footage of him with a loaded gun and not have very clear, at least, footage of who isn't the shooter? I don't see how that could possibly not coincide. But anyway, moving forward, and in a, I guess you could say, similar but slightly opposite, or at least preventative sense of a similar story, with dark clouds of senseless violence plaguing hip-hop, Wiz Khalifa has opted against wearing an excessive amount of jewelry when he's moving around in public, as most people should have known was a bad idea from the start. The Mary J. Connoisseur recently joined DJ Woo Kid for an episode of Woo's House podcast earlier this month, where he spoke about ditching the expensive ice in favor of his safety, as well as the safety of those around him. So, ice for life, if you will. They didn't say that. I said that. Trademarked. You grow out of that ish and you place value in other things at certain points. It's cool to have that mind frame as well, or it's cool to have the little joint too. This is what Wiz Khalifa was saying. You don't have to have the biggest, craziest situation going on, he said. Looking at you, Kanye. Once again, not something he said, it's something I'm saying. And with all of these murders and ish going on, it's inviting effing energy that you don't really need. And people look at you like they get excited when they see that type of ish. He continued with, me, I'm the type of person that thinks about my safety first. So if I could walk into a room and not excite those people who are going to feel like that when they see those things, I'll do you the favor, because I don't want anything to happen to you. I don't want anything to happen to me. So I'm going to just calm the situation down for all of us, and I'm going to give us something to not look at.
You grow out of that shit and you place value in other things at certain points. You know, it's cool to have that mind frame as well, or it's cool to think that whatever little joint you got is cool too. Like, you don't have to have the biggest, craziest situation going on. And we're all murders and shit like that going on.
Yeah,
it's inviting, you know,
random situation,
you know, energy that you don't really need from people who look at you and they're like, they get excited when they see that type of shit. And me, I'm the type of person where I think about my safety first. So if I could walk into a room and not excite those people who are gonna, you know, feel like that when they see those things, then I'll do you the favor, because I don't want anything to happen to you. I don't want anything to happen to me. So I'm gonna just calm the whole situation
and people
down
around you too, man. Safety with whoever's around you. I'm
gonna give us, you know, something not to look at.
Couldn't possibly agree more. And if you remember, he went viral last month when he claimed that rappers wearing a cumbersome amount of chains was going out of style. All that jewelry going out of style, he wrote, ninjas feel lame without it anyway, says a lot. With over a decade in the spotlight, so it ain't like he no newbie in this now, Wiz issued a warning last year telling his followers it isn't smart to be wearing that much jewelry out, and also about how you can become a target because of it. I mean, once again, I would think that that would be kind of obvious, because the majority of people who, I'm not going to say the majority of people who have this happen because it's a terrible thing, but in a lot of situations, the people that are, well, perpetrating these acts are usually the same ones that are looking to be in these positions of power to be able to even strut around with all of this crap in the first place. So in other words, it's like you started at the bottom. You looked at people as targets, you become the target, and then you forget that people look for the target who is you now. Like, you came from that. How could you possibly forget that that is something people do? But I'm not even gonna say I digress, because I feel like that's perfectly on topic, but you know how it goes. For some people it's in one ear and out the other. It's no sense in expounding too much, but you gotta love it. Take a few moments sometimes to think with your heart and not with your, well, whatever leads to anger. Because frankly, like this next segment, these are the things that I get tired of reporting on. In a slight change of news, check on your people while they're still here. Producer Metro Boomin, who recently lost his mother, shared some chilling words last night. Once again, you got ice water in your veins if this don't give you the chills. Every day, I feel like I'm dying slow, not living, just existing until the day God calls me back home too. My brothers and sisters are really my light. I don't know where I would be without them. Yep. As many people as I know those words are true for, it's very, very seldom that you see people kind of act on that logic before it's too late. That, you know, cherish what you got while it's here kind of thing. Be appreciative of what you have before it's gone. You know, that whole logic. Yeah, it's not too often that you see people actually act on that. So, yeah, couldn't possibly agree more with those words. Cherish your people before it's too late. Do that. Anyway, moving on. There's some slight good news if you care about that kind of thing. Meek Mill and Rick Ross. Well, they ended their feud and performed on stage in Philly together for the first time in literal years. Check it out. I must say it's fantastic. All right, that was the best Rick Ross I had. Anyway, Before we get out of here, and hopefully this isn't getting old to you because it still is very thought-provoking to me, here's another fan's point of